All right, welcome back to the second part of the session. You've just done a bunch of work in small groups to sort of clean up, do the last cleanup, catch up on what the wordsmithing group over the last day and suggest any final edits, final additions, anything like that. But they need to be brought back to the full group or any substantive changes do. In addition to any principles that you've recommended as not relevant to the issue at hand. So I'm going to turn over to Alex to do that process. And we'll aim for about 30 minutes for this.
Okay. Thanks, Lynn, and sorry to my small group for getting cut off. We'll deal with that question in our report out right now. So we're now going to be looking through the work that everybody just did and bringing proposals to the full group for votes. So let's start with group 1, and I will share my screen so everybody can see. Group 1, who was reporting out?
Okay, group 1, this is Robert, and my task is to report on 1.1. We have a change in adding that the affordability of housing must be a priority or should be a priority. I think we, correct me if I'm wrong, group, I think we had this as instead of affordable housing is a priority, and it must be a priority or should be a priority. We felt that the larger group should decide whether if this principle is a command or not. The group felt that the spirit of HB 2001 is focused on affordability. So that's why we felt that it should be reviewed by the larger group. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and I think I'm going to ask you to do the report out for the category, and then we'll take votes for the full category, and then move on to the next category that your group looked at. So was somebody else presenting 1.7?
Oh yeah, that was me. So our proposal for 1.7 is new buildings need to provide a commensurate or at least a certain amount of affordable housing to be approved. We kind of added we kind of altered this a little bit, changed the language up a little bit, particularly because we kind of have a point in here on, I think it was 1.2 about maintaining affordable housing. We want to make it clear that, we don't want existing structures that are affordable to be torn down where it doesn't make sense. But we also want to make sure that when there's new buildings being built anywhere, that it makes sense and it has to have a certain amount of affordable quantity. It has to have a quantity of affordable housing to be approved.
Okay. Alrighty. So it sounds like that one, any objection? It sounds like 1.1 is more of a vote. So before we do that, let's ask, are there any objections to 1.7? And
I would just say, instead of at least, that there should be a percentage added, because at least could be, as low as 1% or 5%. And whether that's what you're aiming for or we're aiming for, or we're saying at least a quarter, at least 50%, what is the least that we want to put in there?
Okay, so I think at this point we can only just vote up or down the changes that these proposals have made.
My apologies.
Unless there's a quick friendly amendment accepted by the committee itself.
Okay.
I'm assuming that we're talking about apartment type structures, apartment buildings.
Can you clarify?
Well, I think any structure is what I don't think we clarified that super well, but I guess I don't know if anybody in my group wants to speak up here, but I think just new buildings in general. I mean, any
I think,
size.
yeah, just going on from what Hunter said from our group, Shay did suggest a percentage. Thought, well, who decides on what the percentage should be? So that's why we kind of came with a certain amount, but we don't know what that amount should be. That's why we wanted to put it out to everybody to see what they thought.
Okay. Okay, so Jose, would you mind giving a proposal to this group about a percentage? And if it's accepted by the group, then we'll put it to a, we'll then ask for any objections from the full room.
I might suggest new buildings need to provide commensurate amount of affordable housing to be approved and get rid of at least.
Okay, so any objections from the group that did this work?
The only thing by saying amount is that it's basically saying that they can't do more, like saying put it at least, saying they have to do that much, but it also allows them to do more or says that they could do more than that. The only line of thought there.
Okay.
A minimum amount or something like that.
Minimum sounds good. I think that definitely keeping at least in there is important because otherwise it's too subjective and people are going to take advantage of that and, you know, run down affordable housing.
Okay.
One thing that we did not visit, I'm sorry, one thing that we did not visit is to say an equal, at least an equal amount.
Okay, so there are a lot of proposals being floated and we have very limited time to get through these. So I think I'm going to invite us to not wordsmith at this stage. And since there have been so many proposals and this, the status quo is one of many, I think the most efficient way to move forward is just to ask if there are any objections to this entire principle in its entirety being added. Okay. And I'm not hearing any, so I think we have approved this being in. Does that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. There were too many proposals there to consider all at once, and the group had some disagreement with the amendment suggested. So I think it stays as it was. And then let's just vote on the must or should at the top.
Yeah. So option A now is for must in this 1.1 wording, and option B is should. So we're going to use the raised hand feature in the participants list. Can everybody who would like must raise their hand now? And Awab and Jeff, if you can help count those up, that would be great. I think we just need a simple majority.
That's a clear majority.
Okay.
I think we're done. Fabulous.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to try to work through the next categories from that group as quickly as possible. We've got about 3 minutes. So what was the next category for Amanda's group?
We didn't have any other
changes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's see, my group was group 2. So Jose, can you walk us through the proposals in category 3?
Sure. We wanted to add the points in bold, 3.1 through 2, allow for modification of HB 2001 restructuring zoning to allow for middle housing. And then in 3.2, allow any housing greater than 2 units would bring the cost down for building and affordability. And 3.5, ADUs can be built and less restrictive than single family housing. But we also wanted for 3.1 and 3.2, and I want to be clear about this. It is not that we don't think ADU is not important, nor that we think that ADUs are not relevant to the housing situation, but that they're not related to HB 2001. And as such, we felt that these 3.1 and 3.4 should be voted on as not relevant to the issue.
Okay, thank you. So just to move through our votes with this category first, there are everything in bold here has been either added or moved to a different line. So I first want to ask if there are any objections to the changes that you see here in bold, and then we'll move on to the not relevant to the issue in a moment. I'll just count to 5 here silently. Okay. So these changes have been approved. We will get our numbering clean very soon. And now I'd like to move to a vote. A vote for these that have been proposed as not relevant to the issue at hand. So, and let me just review my notes here. Let's see. We need 2/3 of a vote, which means 20 of us. So for 3.1, if you'd like this to be moved to a separate category that's not relevant to this issue, can you raise your hand in the participants list?
And just as a clarification, while folks are doing that, that would mean that it won't be prioritized with the rest of the principles. It'll be in the report, but it'll be down in a separate section at the bottom, other principles.
Okay, and can my moderator vote counters let me know if we hit 20?
Not yet.
Okay.
At the moment there are 17.
Okay. I'm gonna, okay, we'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. There's still 17. Oh, we've got one more.
18.
18. Okay, so that did not meet the threshold for moving this off the main list. We'll get rid of this. And then we're going to do the same things. Everybody please lower your hands. Moderators.
You're all down.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to do the same vote now for 3.4-2. Should this be moved to a separate list that is not relevant to this issue? Sorry, I keep saying separate list. Just the bottom of the list. It will not go away entirely. Okay.
Are there any more votes? Here's another one.
So I'll do the same countdown from 5 if you still need to vote. 5.
You do have a simple majority.
We do.
We need 2/3 for this one.
Well,
So,
well, we have
sorry,
20.
You have that. You have that.
Oh, we have 20. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Great. All right. So this is accepted. We will mark that. Okay. Thanks, everybody. And let's move on to Group 2's second category here. So Jose, can you, I guess we didn't have anything in category 10, so can you present on 11 here? And since we got cut off there, I'm going to let you decide whether this is a proposal or not.
So we 11.2, prioritize and protect locals to avoid gentrification and displacement. We focused on language that was about affordability and not about how long you have lived in Oregon. And this was to prevent a principle that could influence exclusionary policy, especially since Oregon has a history of exclusionary policies against people of color.
Okay. So am I clear that you'd like to add this? You're confirming that the proposal is to add this language to the principle?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if it might be possible to either add or rephrase specifying that we want to be mindful of unintended side effects of incentivization.
I agree with that.
Okay, so does that have, is that a friendly amendment by that group? Any objections from the group that did that work?
I agree.
Okay. And can the person who just made that proposal repeat it and tell me exactly where to, oh, thank you, Lynn. Great. Can you let us know exactly where to add that and the exact language again?
Yeah, I think you could just create a second sentence under that bolded bullet point. Be mindful of unintended side effects of incentivization.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so I think we'll do these one at a time. So the first is this change right here to change
Incentivization, not subsidization.
If he wants to write subsidization, that's good. Wait,
Nope, I did not want to write that. That was a mistake. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So let's first ask if there are any objections.
May I jump in here really quickly?
Yeah.
Since we got rid of incentivize in 11.2, the word incentivization in our rationale should not be in there, and instead in protections, side effect of protections.
Okay, any objections from group 2?
No.
Okay. Okay, so now to the full group, this change from the word incentive to protect, or incentivize to protect. I'm going to give 5 or 10 seconds for anybody to speak up or raise their hand with an objection. And I see Sam. Oh, no. Okay.
Oh.
Going for it. I did not object.
Got it. Yeah, so just for this change, we're just looking for any big concerns. So, Erin, go ahead.
What does that look like? What is a protection? I'm just not clear on what that is.
Yeah, does Jose or anyone from group 2 want to speak to that?
I don't think we spoke about that, and I think that that would be something for the planners to figure out. So this is a principle that then they can flesh out and bring it back to us.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not hearing any other objections. So I think this amendment has been accepted. And then same thing for these 2 new sentences in bold here. Is anybody opposed to those being added? We'll give it 5 or 10 seconds. Okay, great, thank you. All right, last category for our group. Jose, can you present these 2 additions?
Yes, under 12.1, we wanted to add a language that, as we're recommended for this policy to be continuously improved and reevaluated after multiple years, to ensure that the review process in later years is at least as representative as this panel. And that is to provide a guardrail for a review process that would be less representative and might alter it to be more restrictive. Additionally, under 12.4, we wanted to emphasize that it's not, yes, the issue is low income housing, but there's also affordable housing at multiple scales. For example, there might be people that are a little bit beyond low income, but can't afford other things beyond just the low income. So they're taking space that if more affordable housing was provided, they could move out of, and other individuals could be moving into low income housing. So we just wanted to make sure that there wasn't only a single focus on low income housing.
Okay. Thanks, Jose. So let's do both of these, since these are both just additions, both of these at the same time. Are there any objections to either of these amendments to category 12? Okay. Oh, Rosita, go ahead.
Was it Jose speaking to that point? Could you just say that again? I don't quite understand.
To which point, Rosita?
The affordable housing. Why are we adding that again?
So there is a big problem with low income housing, but it's not, low income is a particular income category.
Yes.
But there are people who don't fall under low income, who cannot move out of cheaper housing because there isn't housing that is affordable for them to move into. So we need to emphasize that across all levels of affordable housing, so that would also ease up some of the tightness of the low income housing that's available.
I see. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't hear any objections, and I'm gonna go ahead and consider those two as accepted. Thank you, group 2. Let's move along to group 3. Who's reporting out, and what category did you start with?
Troy, are you ready to report?
Yeah, just if you could pull up the category, just so I have the notes to look at, that would be great. I just need a little refresher.
Yeah. So it looks like maybe you didn't have anything that we need to bring to a vote on category 2. Is that correct?
It doesn't appear to be. Is that correct, Awab?
Yeah, Jeff, were you able? Did you make any edits to that one?
No, if it's not in bold, there's nothing there.
All right, perfect.
Okay, yeah, let's go on to 3 then.
So here's, I think here's
your next. It should be 4.
4, my
4,
bad.
5, and 6.
Yeah, so in 4.2, we just put in the word encourage the use of solar panels rather than just so that it doesn't seem as though it's required because of the potential initial cost of solar panels for creating affordable housing. And then in 4.3, we added specifically things like playgrounds and other spaces, especially for children, so that, so those are close to the neighborhoods that would have newer middle housing or converted middle housing, so that with the addition of more families, that they have those resources close by rather than having them further away.
Thanks, Troy. And I think we have maybe a clarifying question from Hunter.
Not a clarification, but I was just gonna make another suggestion to encourage. I think at the very least we should say strongly encourage. I get that, we want to make it to where the city doesn't have to specifically say you have to do this, but I think just for me personally, given the state of climate, we need to strongly encourage it.
So
the reason,
so Hunter, let me just step in right here. At this stage, we're super tight on time, so we're just going to be doing objections to the proposed changes. Or no, sorry, I see you stepping in, Lynn. Unless, okay.
Yeah, I was just going to mention actually, this is sort of a process point that you will be able to, specifically about this kind of thing, you'll be able to note how strongly you support it during the prioritization process later.
Gotcha.
How strong the panel, you'll be able to select strongly support or somewhat support, that kind of thing, if that addresses what you're getting at there.
Okay.
That being said, though, I think that is like we've done previously. If group 3 accepts this as a friendly amendment to say strongly encourage use of solar panels, then we'll add that in. So any objections from group 3?
I don't like the word strongly in there. I just related to cost and the lack of being able to obtain a grant to reduce the cost.
Okay.
And Donovan also mentioned that in Lane County, 80% of the power comes from dams, so hydroelectric already, which
so
was another reason why we just considered the word encourage.
Okay. So Jose, is your hand a strong objection to any of these 3 words?
Yes.
Okay.
And I know everyone's gonna cross their or lift their eyebrow when I say this. The last one, especially for children. If COVID-19 has made it clear is that all of us need spaces, and given the data that was provided on the shifting demographics and the increased number of households that don't necessarily have children, I think by adding playgrounds, you've already covered that. And I think just green spaces or gathering spaces for everyone in general suffices.
The word here that is the proposal right now is especially. We're not going to be doing any changes on the non-bolded language. That was kind of the work of the previous small group. So do you want to put to vote the word especially, Jose, or does that not address your concern?
Can I ask a question? I don't understand. So then the sentence would say open spaces, green spaces, playgrounds, and gathering spaces for children. That's how the sentence would read if we didn't like the word especially.
Yeah, I guess I would just be in gathering spaces, period.
Okay. So then the whole, it's not just especially we're getting rid of especially for children.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn, but we're not going to do that degree of editing at this point.
I think, unless there's a quick friendly amendment accepted by the group, and there's no objections from the group.
Yeah. So I'm seeing no objections. So just for these 3 words, we have accepted these.
Sorry, I meant for, this is a little bit, this is where it gets a little bit messy and it's not, 100%, but locked down. But there was a proposal there. It involves the bolded word, and if that proposal, especially for children, being eliminated, does anybody in that group have an objection to that?
An objection to eliminating it, or an objection to keeping it?
Objection to eliminating, especially for children, Jose's proposal.
I like it in there.
Okay, all right. All we need is one objection, and status quo stays.
Okay.
Great.
And I've heard no objections to the word especially in particular. So going ahead and accepting that, and let's move on to category 5, Troy.
Okay, so homelessness and transitional housing, 5.1, address homelessness with practical solutions like tiny homes, transitional housing, and townhomes. We just wanted to make that more inclusive because it's not just limited to tiny homes and transitional housing. More parks of tiny homes like Emerald Park or cottage clusters for homeless individuals. To make that more inclusive, we removed the part where it said veterans or women and children and made it more inclusive by just saying anyone who's homeless, because not all homeless fall into the categories of veterans or women or children.
Okay. So any objections to either of these changes? Somebody just named panelist here has raised their hand.
Yeah, that's me, Vicky, and I couldn't figure out how to put my name.
We'll make sure to.
Thank you. Yes, I object. Having been a homeless vet it's impossible for a woman homeless vet to find anything that lets you in. So I think by eliminating vet out of their, anyway, that, yes, I think it's important.
Okay, so since we have one objection, this goes directly now to a vote. So 2/3 of you, 20 panelists, have to approve this change. So if you want this to be changed to individuals, please raise your blue hand.
The vote to change it, right?
Sorry, hold on, that's backwards. The status quo is what the group changed it to. So what we're voting on is Vicky's proposed amendment right now, and that would need a 2/3 majority. What the status quo gets the preference here. So i.e. what the group did before. So let's back up if we can remove all the hands that have been raised. And is that done? Okay, and then if folks could raise their hand if they would like to change what the group did back to include those additional words. Yeah. Veterans and women and children. If you'd like to change it back to that, put your hand up. Does somebody have a question?
Yeah, after you added that in, I got confused. So are we voting if we would like to change it to individuals?
No, let me restate that. So it has been changed to individuals by the previous group. The question now is, do you want to change it back to Vicky's suggestion of veterans and women and children? Raise your hand if you'd like it to be women and children and veterans, that previous text.
I also want to say that it's super important to consider our LGBTQ community members. So not everybody identifies as a woman, and a lot of our transit community are people that might identify as trans or non-binary. So it's really important to include them in that language.
That's a good point.
Is there, let's see.
It's only 7.
Okay.
It's short.
Okay. So then that means that we are reverting to individuals. You can nod to confirm that, Lynn.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Individuals.
Okay. Which means that I think your comment, Sam, doesn't need to become a proposal. Okay, Lynn, if you could help me clean that up as we move.
Absolutely, will do.
Okay, thank you. And category 6 doesn't seem to have any changes. Okay, did that group have any additional categories? I don't believe so.
No.
Oh, okay. Has that been approved by the small group?
There was one thing in category 6 at the very end we got cut off discussing. Just let me look at it real quick. We thought about, there was a proposal to cut the last part. They should have health and safety as their focus because it seemed unimportant to the larger aspect of this, but we didn't get to it, so there's more revising to be done. So
I think, yeah, we're running about 15 minutes behind schedule. So just, I think since that wasn't able to be put to a proposal in the small group, you don't want to give it preference by kind of immediately bringing it to the large group.
Okay,
cool. So thanks, Troy. We've completed the section. Congratulations.
I just want to restate, this is never easy, and there is so much text here that has been edited multiple times over and over and over again, and could be edited for days and days. So thank you so much for your patience. I know we're sort of pushing, but that's our job. Sorry. So we're gonna do a break right now, and unfortunately I have to ask you for a favor to make this only a 5-minute break so that we have plenty of time and don't run over today to do the important prioritization just after the break. So we're gonna take 5 minutes. Let's be back at 11:21. Thanks so much.